I'll be the first to admit that that shot is just awesome. Let's get Bill out now. We're gonna EVA. What's up, Bill, buddy? How's it going? We're gonna let go. We're gonna turn our jets on. Probably should turn our lights on. How do we turn his lights on? I know he has some. Oh gosh, I don't remember. Is it L? It is L. Aha! See, now we can inspect our craft in space and be like, did anything fall off? It was a bit unstable. Let's be honest. It could have been a whole lot better, for sure, going up, you know, out of the orbit there. But I have ideas of how to stabilize it a bit. A lot of it was like left hand and right hand turning stuff. Like it felt like it was like almost. Oh, what's the way to describe this? I don't even know how to describe how it felt. It just felt unstable. It felt like it was trying to pull to one. It was here it is. It's like when your tires on a car aren't aligned and the thing slightly whoops. Come on, Jeb. Come on. Get yourself together. Get yourself together. It's like when your tires aren't aligned and they're slightly pulling to one side. That's how it felt. So I have an idea for fins on the back that may help. This is proving a bit more difficult to maneuver there. So what the heck? Let's I don't know why those lights are off. Turn cockpit lights on. There we go. That'll help for in the future. We can also turn these on too, which I thought I had on. I don't know why they turned off, but it is pretty cool that it does have some illumination, which is definitely going to be helpful for doing EVAs like that. The other thing I wanted to check out is the inside here while we have a chance. He's getting some gray hair on him. I mean, it's understood. I could see why he would. But there's a lot of stuff here. Do I have like I do have camera controls. I don't. Oh, maybe. Oh, I don't. I think I have one of the. Yeah. Oh, I got some controls. Okay, maybe not. Oh, so like I've got. Okay, that's cool. Camera controls. Aha. That's really cool. We can look around space. So our guys have a pretty good idea of what they're looking at. That is really cool. I like that. This cockpit is really well done. Good job, B9. Good job. We can also see what we're orbiting at speed-wise, which is perfect. That's what we need it as. But enough of that. Let's get, see, there it is. Let's get ready to re-entry here. I really am kind of curious about how I'm going to come in, right? Because this is going to be very painful. So, and the reason I say that is because I don't feel like it's going to remain stable at all. And we're coming up to the point where we really need to create a maneuver. Retrograde it. Thank you. And honestly, yeah, that's maybe a little lower. I think that'll be good. By the time we hit the atmosphere, it'll be fine. So that's happening in 2 minutes, apparently. We're going to get out of that. I need to find where that maneuver node... Okay, so it's going to face me retrograde if I face towards the maneuver node. I want to be facing prograde. We're going to test something out here. I do want to make sure how much monopropellant I have. I have 756 at the moment. It's because some of it has been being used, so I can maneuver. Otherwise, it is kind of a pain in the butt, let's be honest. So what I do is I gotta be able to view my thruster, because I gotta figure out which direction is which. That's down, which means that's up, which means that's left, and oh, that wrong button. Dang it, zoom back in. If that's left, then that is, I think that's right, yeah. This should slow my velocity. It does, perfect. So I want to see how much, and this is a bit of a test. Like I said, we have a minute left to go on this. This is a bit of a test to see how much this is actually going to decelerate me. If you ever get into a situation where you have a space plane that is within orbit, but your problem with it is that it's, I mean, honestly, it's stuck. Let's be frank. You know, it's stuck. You're not going to have the fuel to get back. Then what you can very well do is use monopropellant to slow yourself down. It will take a while, and you know, as you can see, I'm burning through a lot of monopropellant here. But I do want to just kind of test how much I'll need to slow myself down. It's not super bad, honestly. It's slowing me down quite a bit. If I got into the 70,000 range, that would be fine. If I got even closer than that, like maybe 60,000, that would be even better. And I think I could definitely pull that off at the rate that it's slowing us down. So let's forget that. Let's now that we kind of have that as an idea, we probably should just go the other way. Let's flip around. We'll do our retrograde burn, and then we will go back. See, the problem is, you know, planes perform differently than spaceships, right? If you're in space, you're gonna do things differently than if you were in an aircraft. Like, if I wanted to slow down in an aircraft, I would let the air slow me down a bit. You would use air brakes. You would use, banking maneuvers to slow yourself down, stuff like that. But you wouldn't face yourself the other direction and throttle up, right? It's not how that works. So with a spacecraft, you got to think that way. You have like these set of boosters back here that are going to maneuver you, and you have to be facing the correct direction. So when we create a spaceship, like an actual, this sucker is going to carry other things in it, like other spacecraft, then, that is a really nice moon setting. Then what I need to keep in mind is that I need engines on the front facing forward. That way those can slow me down. Or, have some on the sides. That way I can potentially maneuver left and right. That's too much, right? We don't necessarily need that. But just enough on the front to slow me down is probably the best idea. So this whole thing, getting the space shuttle in here is also a huge, scientific thing that we're learning here. We gotta figure out how our spacecraft are gonna perform, especially, stuff like this, where I plan on having a space plane within our massive, carrier, and that carrier will take those space planes and landers to other planets. But if I'm going to land on Eve, for instance, which has a really dense atmosphere, I want an aircraft that can take back off, and, a VTOL, well, not a VTOL, because I think that might be too much for Eve. Probably just a SSTO, just a single stage to orbit, right? So where you don't have any staging, it's just what we did here, where we take off from the planet and we come back. That's kind of the idea, but you want to make sure you have something that has maneuverability, and that's kind of what we're learning here, is what exactly do we need for stuff like this? This is a good test, will you say? So let's just watch our descent. We're going to hit the 60,000s. Okay, so I want to point down. I'm going to leave my RCS on. That will, in fact, help us maneuver a bit here. We don't want to come in facing too steep, yet we don't want to come in facing, into our descent. We don't want to gain speed as we come down. We don't want to gain lift, in fact, as we're coming down, and that will happen. As you see, our orbit is kind of going up, right? So it's 84, 85, 86, 87 for our, not our orbit, but our speed is what I meant. And as we go down, we don't want to be facing into that to go even faster, because that's going to make it more difficult, much harder to control as we do so. So let's speed up a little bit more. Probably 50,000-ish is when I'm really going to have to take control and just like wrestle this thing back into. That's actually a bad way to. It's not wrestling. It's more like it's a dance. It's like a giant ballroom dance. You want to be very gentle with it. You want to, for lack of a better term, you want to make love to your descent. You don't want to throw it around and be really aggressive with it, because that's just not going to work very well. You will spin out of control. In fact, from our experience with takeoff, I expect this to go very poorly and for us to just spin out of control and explode. That's fine. My next version of this aircraft will definitely have parachutes on the top. So if it does go bad, we start spinning horribly out of control and we're going to die terrible death, and we can at least save the aircraft, which saves us a lot of money, which at this point, I've mentioned it before, is our main problem. Is we're going to run into monetary issues with building spacecraft, because we're going to build such expensive monstrosities that we want to be very careful with how much we're actually spending. I mean, heck, we haven't even left our little part of this solar system. We've gone to our moons, but we haven't gone to another planet yet. And you can get away with making some pretty cheap stuff to do that, but that's no fun. I really wanna go crazy here, so I'm gonna keep an eye on my descent, trying to stay lined up as much as possible. I probably could and should turn these controls on, which are the more control-y stuff, so I'm not like massively making huge adjustments, which is going to be what's going to kill these poor Kerbals. I have a feeling this is not going to go well. But here comes the difficult part. Okay, so it's super focus time. You're noticing we're flipping a little bit, and we're kind of coming in at it like I was just saying this before. It's like you have like a, your tires aren't aligned on your vehicle. That's no good. We don't want that. We also want to flip our air brakes. That will start slowing us down, and it is gonna start pulling us kind of out of control, so we want to turn the air brakes off. This is always very difficult. I don't understand how they do this with the space shuttle. Space shuttle's like flying a giant whale, and somehow they manage to bring it in out of space every single time. It is very, very difficult. So we are pulling to one side. It's like we have a weird amount of drag on something, and I can't figure out what it is. But I have ideas of how to fix that. So let's. We're about to hit that main atmosphere, and this is not going to be pretty. We have a lot of fuel left too, which is not helping our situation at all. In fact, what I should do is, no, I don't want to boost those up. I wanted to control click, and I want to alt click, alt right click. There we go. Oh crap, I want to put some fuel in. Stop. In. Stop. Okay. That'll balance us out a bit. We are way wonky. Our weight ratio wasn't balanced, so most of the weight was in the back. So that's another thing you could do to help yourself be a lot more stable coming in, is make sure that your plane is more balanced. Now my center of weight more accurately matches my center of mass. You see we're gaining altitude here anytime I pull up. That's what these air brakes are supposed to be for. So now it should start slowing us down enough and not pulling us in any strange direction, which is what it's doing, and it's kind of unfortunate. So I'm gonna have to figure out what's causing that on our second version of this. We are slowing down though, and that's the most important part. I want to check the map to see where we're at, but it doesn't really matter as long as we can get there. If we can get within the atmosphere, well, like I said, we pulled up quite a bit there. Whoa, we pulled up quite a bit, which means we've gained altitude, which is not what we want, but we are slowing down. So if we can just keep our rate of reduction of our speed, then we should be perfectly stable for a nice landing somewhere. As long as, like I said, as long as we can get in orbit, or not in orbit, but in the atmosphere, and be stable and be like at minimum, maybe 200 meters a second, at maximum under 1,000, then we should be able to find a landing spot, because we still have plenty of fuel. Also, speaking of which, switching my engines over to air breathing, because we're going to start getting air intake here in a minute, and we definitely don't need to be speeding up or controlling ourselves anytime soon. It's all about the slowdown. We're slowing down enough that we're about to actually get into the atmosphere. I know I said I should probably pull up and just let myself kind of fall in, but I really need to start slowing down before this gets catastrophic. And as you can tell, this is not, it's getting really kind of unstable. I'm having to super control this. This is not good. Could be worse, that's for sure, and it probably will be here in a minute. But I gotta get myself under 1,000 meters a second. That's gotta happen, and I'm just having to focus on that nav ball, keeping my nose up if I can, and honestly, just really trying to keep myself not from flipping around. So I'm actually watching the aircraft a lot too, because that gives me a lot of indications on where it's going before I can even tell on the nav ball, because the nav ball is so small that it's really hard to see what's going on there as far as the intricacies. So it's a lot easier to control just looking at the back of my aircraft. I should go chase. Chase cam would help out a lot for sure. And I was using it for a second there, but I gotta focus on not dying. We're almost under 1,000. Definitely getting there. Over some kind of desert. Have I ever been to the desert on Kerbal? I don't know. I don't remember if I got there at the beginning of the series or not. I like how, oh, that's a cool little shot where you can see like the edge of the atmosphere as I come in on it. So I'm skimming across it like a madman. I could pull up the air brakes. In fact, that might be something that I do here once I hit about 500,000 and then just glide in. We do, oh, it's kind of stabilizing now. We do want to figure out the gliding capabilities. That was weird. It's like I got under a certain speed and suddenly it was just like, hey, you have assumed control. Perfect. Where? Okay, well now we have a chance to look where the heck we're at. Nowhere near the space station, or space center. That might take a while to get there. We could try it. I don't see why not. We pretty much just have to keep going the direction we're going and we will eventually get there. Yeah, why not? Why land in a desert and have them come pick us up when we can actually prove that this aircraft is totally worth it and we'll get there, or get wherever we need it to be, in fact. But I'm noticing the weight issue, so it's wanting to kind of point downward. And now we're getting that wobble that we were getting before, so that wobble is definitely a speed-related thing, I think. We could turn off precise controls. Maybe, I don't know. It might be a little dangerous to do so. And I want to get about 200 meters a second, and then I will kick on the engines and just keep it at that, and then we'll drive her home. Fly her home, rather. I think next iteration needs to have probably a cargo bay up front with probably batteries, a probe core so we can fly it if our guys have somehow blacked out or something, anything like that. You want to have just a backup, just in case. You probably turn off RCS. You also really want to have a probe core just in case your guys like get bumped and they start flying away and both of them are out of the aircraft at the same time. When you're doing like an EVA out in space, that way you can maneuver to them if you really need to. Not that that should happen, but it could, and that's kind of a problem if it can. So you want to make sure that you can fix that. All right, let's get to the Space Center. I think we'll be completely fine once we hit 200 meters a second. Just kick on the engines and just fly home. Finally down below, or down to 200,000. Slowly bringing up the engines, letting them get that air in them, just because we've been in space. They have rocket fuel back there that needs to not just explode, so letting that burn off, just that whole kind of thing before we just fly home. We are gaining speed, so I could probably bring that down a bit. We just need to maintain our speed. We don't need to gain speed. We don't need to gain altitude. We just need to maintain all of the above. If we can do that, we'll be home in a while. We'll be home in a while. And it's getting that wobble thing. I've noticed that wobble I can actually kind of get rid of by turning SAS on and off a few times. See, and then it starts to stabilize. So we'll go with that. Time to gently make our way back to the Space Center. Probably should actually be facing straight east. Otherwise, that may not work out well, because we'll fly right past the Space Center and never know that it was even there.